Alright, back at it. Popping in here. Morning. Past couple vids have been filmed in the morning. Let's go over number one. Our number one on the hit list here, we had AFRM. This thing's been a beast for the past 2 days. We've been watching this since back in here. Go back in the old videos. Kind of check that out because we're still in the early innings here. But like I was saying, ideally we get a pullback in this moving average zone here, in this 30 to 31 zone, and then we get that rocket ship move up, hopefully 34, 36, 38, near term. And then probably another version of this pop pullback, but off of these levels up here, because this thing again, monthly 10-year, beautiful, massive, cup and handle, which I'm not saying, okay, because it's a cup and handle, it's 100% or whatever. It's just visually speaking, this looks very nice, and there's some really key levels that we can work off, which I've highlighted, but we're starting to see the beginning of this big move up, in my opinion. This morning we got a little bit of a red morning, which, well, I guess decent pullback here intraday, but kind of what we want to see. We're seeing that across the board here this morning, but that's actually kind of what I want. So things are looking really good on AFRM. Number one play right now. Monster potential. I mean, this is one that you could do. That's the beauty of my trades, is you can use my ideas and you can be someone that is a day trader, a swing trader, or even someone that wants to invest for, let's say, 3 to 6 to 9 months. Because this thing, I'm not going to say I know, but I'm pretty damn sure we're going to look back in probably 6 months and this thing's going to be probably at $60 to $80. So if you were a longer term holder, this one, in my opinion, this one's got some massive potential. And it's kind of in that sweet spot. Like a $32 stock. This thing could get going. I mean, just these past 2 days alone, if you look at the action, this thing just goes. Like, when it decides to go up, it just goes, and it doesn't really give you much buying opportunity inside, like on the intraday. So you kind of have to play this one a little bit with a broader view, or you have to be comfortable kind of chasing something, which I'm not a huge fan of. So chasing intraday, that is, to kind of get a piece of this action that I'm highlighting, this massive move we've had for the past 2 days. So AFRM, big one. We're right on this one. Something that's developing is this, as we've said, and a lot of this I just repeat myself, but I'll say it again. We need to just stay on it. That's the magic with this game, is you got to just be relentlessly consistent, because all of a sudden what you're looking for presents itself and you have to be ready to pounce. But if you're not on that idea before it, for me, I feel like you're always kind of behind, you're chasing. So cannabis sector, psychedelic sector, there's some really good stuff brewing here. We have a little uptick in volume. This is the daily chart. Little uptick on CGC, ACB, little, I mean, it has a nice move, but I'm kind of more so looking at the volume here. And, decent. Tilray's getting going. I think SNDL all kind of look the same. This is an ETF, cannabis. I like this one. As more of the safer cannabis play. Again, this could be another massive invest, like 6 month to a year hold, because I could see this thing getting to 15, you know, within that time frame. So cannabis sector is this here. The CGC really has my attention. They're all starting to kind of wedge in this 20 to 50 SMA, which I'm a big fan of the squeezer move. Again, just like the cup and handle, it's not you see one thing and then it's a green light. It's a combination of just accumulating all these reasons. So CGC is probably it is my number one watch in that sector. But again, we've had this big move intraday for the past, we have had this big move intraday. Daily chart wise, it's kind of just a little uptick, but I'm liking what I'm seeing here. It's kind of a weird, actually not really. I was going to say it's kind of a weird weekly. But this, if you just want to take a simple approach, just kind of work in between this, the simplest visual you could see. I mean, I'm seeing this thing holding, blowing through this. Because again, volume is king. And we had this massive volume in here, which this is the beautiful setup, because you have this huge inflow of volume. Everyone goes crazy for a while. Then it fades. Everyone forgets about it. And then you get the big monster move. So I'm liking what we're seeing in the cannabis sector. So you got a whole basket of those names. I'm kind of on the same page. Well, I am on the same page. Sorry, I'm drinking my Rockstar. I'm on the same page with MNMD. Same visual as all the other ones, kind of that pop curl. This one didn't really have that massive volume that the other cannabis one did. The other cannabis names did. But like I said, I think in the last video, I think this could be the sleeper. This could be the sleeper cannabis play. So if you wanted to kind of quietly just, you know, invade the territory and make a monster gain on something, this could be that one. And again, it's just like that CGC I just said. This one isn't as, it doesn't kind of, it looks the same, but it looks a little different, if that makes sense. And again, I've said this before, but this is just boom, I'm hitting the record button and I'm just doing what I'm doing. This is no preparation. This is just me in just doing what I would do. So sometimes I'm just kind of rambling and just kind of delivering my organic thoughts. So, what was I saying there? Yes, so this similar version, you know, if we zoom out a little bit, it might look a little better, yeah. So weekly, if you go to the weekly 3-year, a little far away, I'd like to see it on this more so. But this kind of represents that same CGC setup that I just had up. So I'm thinking hold, you know, gather and, you know, inch up and then explode through. Then we could see this thing at 16, 20, way up there if this whole sector gets going. So just like this, CGC, MNMD, so you get the drift there. I'm really seeing a huge amount of, maybe not a huge amount, but I'm seeing a generous amount of monster gains coming into the picture. So there's some money here, folks. All right, Piton. I still had this over here, so it just reminded me. This one is kind of funny. I'm just kind of watching this one for shits and gigs at this point. This weekly 1 year, I've said this in past videos, this looks really kind of nice. But it's Peloton, and it's one of those names that I just always think is crappy and has no follow through, which I would throw in the basket with this piece of junk, BLNK, which we were buying in here, had this nice move, and then it fell off a cliff. That's a whole nother story, but you can go back and watch those videos. But this one's same situation. It just never seems to do what you want it and whatever. So erase that from your mind. DJT, another banger in the making. Monthly 10-year. Beautiful. And we've said the same thing. We're linking this with Rumble. Same kind of visual, monthly 10-year. And we have the, this, I know I'm being repetitive, but you have to be. This thing could do some crazy stuff. I mean, you got all this Trump and all this, chaos going on. So I'm seeing this. It's kind of had a weird situation. So after the assassination attempt, we had the big gap. But since then, we've just been slowly just kind of falling off a cliff, which is ideal, though, because, again, another moving average squeezer. This is like the chopstick, we're like squeezing it. So if this can hold and kind of consolidate in here and these moving averages can tighten up, we could see some fireworks. Another name with some big potential. We saw that with Rumble. This one kind of prematurely just shot through, and now it's holding. And I will say, in the past, this name has been very frustrating. I was remembering this over the past couple days because I think it was whenever this thing came on the scene. Yeah, up in here. In here. And I kind of forget what this was, what sent that going, but I remember watching this, and on the intraday, this actually is kind of a tough name to get your hands on. It's kind of a choppy mover intraday, and it's not necessarily moving in conjunction with DJT, so it's a little bit of a tricky one here, but I think there's still potential, but I'd like to see the pullback because I can't chase things at these levels. So Rumble's like the chip off the block of DJT. I would say if you're thinking about one, I would personally go DJT for the bigger picture. But Rumble's a little more feasible with a smaller account because of the price. So both really nice. I'm kind of zoning in on DGT a little bit more. But this thing, if they let Trump kind of like live his life and he somehow pulls off a miracle here and wins and everything, goes his way, this thing could be nuts. I mean, we've seen it in the past. This went from 18 to 60 in, I don't know, freaking like 4 or 5 days. So another banger. QS I've been watching. This is one that has been crazy strong. This has been, I actually bought this for a day trade at 806 on Monday. And I sold up into this move here. And of course, this thing just kept grinding higher, which it's fine. That's fine. That's how day trading goes. You're never going to be perfect. But this is something that I want to keep on my radar because massive volume. And if we could kind of, like I've said, the best type of trades are when you have that huge volume. It makes its initial move, everyone kind of gets chopped and screwed up in there, and then it fades and consolidates, and then everyone forgets, and the big secondary move, which sometimes, usually, is the real monster move that was intended in the first place, if that makes sense. Really the big money move, because the reality is, if unless you were buying down here for some random reason, you really wouldn't have captured much of this unless, like I said, you did that day trade, which I did. I kind of just took a quick little punt day trade in here. But this is a big one. We're going to keep this on watch. Hopefully it pulls back and sets up something really nice. CGC, we went over that. I don't even go over the SPY or the markets anymore because it's like whatever. It just goes up, and even on days where it looks like it's going to go down, I think it was this day here. One of these days. What day was this? It feels like every day the SPY it has a big sell-off intraday, then somehow by the end of the day it ends up at highs. So we're not really going to go over that, but those are the big ones. Another big one, SOUN. This thing, I just get these feelings. I can't explain it, but I know when a big move's coming. And this one, again, they kind of look similar. You got DJT. Not saying these are all related, but monthly 10-year DJT looks like that. Rumble looks like that. SOUN looks like that. They all kind of have a similar look. They all have had massive volume in the past. They all have good stories to kind of propel that next move higher. I really wish SOUN fell off this weekly 2-year kind of cliff, and then I was looking for this, but that's okay. You can't be perfect all the time. Sometimes the really good plays, you have to be a little bit ahead of it because it happens so quick. Sometimes if you wait till the move, that's why I'm not a huge fan of people saying, oh, wait for confirmation. If you wait for confirmation, then you're kind of too late. So SOUN, another beauty. Let's see what these, I think it's this one, maybe I don't know. I mean, it's in this spot here. I mean, really, I think we're probably looking for pullbacks across the board here on all these names before we get in for that big monster, but really good one. And there's also a couple others like that are with that. This NNOX is basically like in the SOUN basket with just less volume. This one is kind of shitty to trade though, so I'm not really concerned about that. But typically I was looking at Nvidia as the kind of gauge for SOUN because they had made an investment in SOUN back somewhere in here where it had a big move, but they're not really going together anymore, so it's a little tricky. That's where things get kind of weird. And I find that when that happens, you got to just trust what you're seeing on that specific name and just go for it and respect your risk levels, because sometimes they kind of disconnect, but the trade that you're seeing, it still often happens. So I'm not going to let Nvidia kind of swerve me off it because I think it's going to do its own thing. So SOUN monster. Did I have anything else? Oh, this Macy's. Actually, I'm going to give out a rare short opportunity, which I've discussed. Monthly 10-year. We had this crazy consolidation for 7 months. And we finally, and this was on some buyout news, So it was kind of in here just coiling up, and then they said they were going to cancel the deal and go their own ways, and we had this massive gap down. So what I'm looking for now is ideally a run back up into this, high 17, low 18 zone, and then we could take a fade back down. So, short idea for you short sellers out there. RIVN, we've had a big wave of upward action on these EVs, but this is kind of with the QS, where it's just gone nuts for a while, and at these levels I struggle to participate. I just don't feel comfortable at those high levels, and RIVN's kind of fallen into that basket for me. In here I was kind of getting interested, but now it's a little bit too far away, but still something to watch. Big volume, anything with big volume you got to keep your eye on. So I think those are the big ones. Oh, one more, this PAYO. That's kind of crazy because I mentioned this way back, but again, monthly 10-year. This thing looks freaking amazing. You get this nice flagging out. It's coming into this key level here, right in the center of all this action, right in this kind of 530, 540 level. And as you can see, it's had a nice little action here, holding these levels. A little pop the other day. This one isn't necessarily a huge intraday mover, but this has some big potential. So those are the names. Let's stay dialed.